Wherever you want to begin, introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Jason Rudy. I'm a filmmaker, and I've started Desperate Visions Productions in 2007, and on my 11th film right now, called Report 2057, and I make grindhouse type, drive-in type exploitation films. Anything that would play in a drive-in or in a cool theater in the 70s is my genre.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, we need more of that. Honestly, it's kind of in a weird area where the only way you can find that is direct to video, and it should be in a theater, and the things in theaters look like they'd just be fine on TV.
Yeah, the stuff in theaters is so like corporate and safe and such a packaged and formula thing that it's just like it's all about investments and it's all about making money. So unfortunately, it's like even though our films make money, it's such a risk to do anything that's out of the norm and on PC and such. So it's really hard sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of like I look at it this way. Like I remember the '80s when VHS hit. The big video boom made like the studios snatch up every ridiculous script they could because maybe this will hit. Because now that anyone can make a movie, we gotta fight it. And now we're in the internet age, and anyone can make a movie, and all the TV people have been sucked. The TV stole all the good people, so they're just sticking with the stuff they know are gonna make money. Like there's no chances being taken.
Well, most definitely. It was like, like after Easy Rider and stuff hit, they brought in all the counterculture people to like run things and to go make films and such. And then like in the 80s, like you were saying, back when the VHS hit, they put every cool oddball movie just to put out product of any for like, Fulci and all that stuff was in the local video stores and stuff with the giant boxes and the odd stuff that would sit alongside, 48 Hours or Beverly Hills Cop or something like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, gone are the days where you just bought a movie because the artwork looked cool.
Yeah. Now it's just all the certain actors' faces. I mean, and there's still exploitation films. They're just exploiting the actor's name, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's And I was thinking of modern things like John Wick. Have you seen it yet?
No, that's the Keanu Reeves movie, right?
Yeah.
I know what it is. I just haven't seen it. Yeah.
It's the closest thing to kind of what you do, like with like kind of the grindhouse. It's very, very well. It's two stunt coordinators who worked with Keanu directed it, and then Keanu has his own martial arts background, so it's tailor made to him.
Okay.
But you watch it, and it is the most blue and orange type movie you'll ever see. Like those are the colors in movies now, and once I started noticing it gets to like such absurd degrees that it's just like so safe. I'm like, oh.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I remember when I first learned about blue and orange watching Terminator 2 when that first came out. I was like totally blue and orange through a lot of it. I was like, holy shit, blue and orange.
Yeah, and you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so walk me through. Like, how does a project start for you?
Well, usually I spend a lot of times by myself working and such, so I'll just sit here and I'll read different stuff, or I'll just go through old films, or I'll go through reading. Like, I still like to read Psychotronic magazine, even though it's been defunct for years, and I'll read Cinema Sewer, and I'll read a bunch of just cool stuff to kind of stay in that mindset all the time. And then from there, I'll just read something, and I'll think of something. Like, for instance, my newest film, Report 2057, that's from the old sex report films from like the 60s and 70s, like a schoolgirl report, sex report, all the different report films that were out before.
Nice,
films,
yeah,
softcore stuff. So I was thinking, it'd be kind of cool to make a modern report movie. And then I was thinking of a science fiction idea I had, and I kind of put it into the future of how they would look back into the society and study certain things, and then to present that in a futuristic setting, So yeah, just kind of like I just get these different ideas about different stuff and different things that I would want to see, movies I would want to see, and sometimes I'll say, okay, well, I want to make a peaky violence film, or I want to make a Mondo movie or something, so I'll specifically try to create in that genre from there, or I'll just get a spontaneous idea about a character or a movie or a setting, and then just keep riffing from there, and then build the skeleton, and then fill it out after that.
And I think it makes sense to actually go for the report film because with the way the whole underground scene is working, you kind of like the carnival barkers driving the film, because you have to driving the film from town to town and trying to get out before they realize what you brought to them, stuff like that.
Totally, yeah.
But yeah, like
go, yeah.
Because you'll see like all these like the bit not so much bigger names, like the names that have made for subs of the underground, they'll have like 50, 60 awards for all their movies, because the only way you can even get it seen is to enter every contest you can.
Oh yeah, exactly. And even there, you gotta have money to enter all these
Yeah,
contests.
exactly. Yeah.
It's so crazy, you know.
Oh, it's nuts. Trust me. I've heard. That's okay. So we're gonna go with money, and I love hearing this. You know how you have to when you have so little budget, you gotta find creative ways to cheat and make effects work. And these are my favorite stories. What's a cheat you used in one of your movies that you're just the most proud of?
Probably the thing that on my film Chump Change, it was like that'd be like my fourth film. It's a story about a man who basically gets cursed by watching bootleg movies, and
I'm already
every time
sold.
he jacks off, coins come out of his penis.
All right.
So David Ainsworth through Alchemy Effects was my special effects man on that, and he crafted a fake penis that had change come out of it, and we built a pretty good looking rig. And the way we filmed it, doing it in a kind of a distressed style of the 70s and the grain and the color stuff. Just through how cheap it was, and the building of it was probably under $100, you know.
Yeah.
And basically when I tried to put it out through disc makers to get produced, they would not print it because they said it was pornography, even though it was a fake penis with coins coming out the head of it. They said it was real, so that blew me away.
You know, that's something you put on the back of the box, actually.
Yeah, exactly, and we had to go through and self-publish it and put it out ourselves. They would print the box, they would print all the material, they would print the disc, but they wouldn't put the movie on the disc.
You know, it's a lot of work done for you. I mean,
but it's fake. There's coins coming. I mean, I was saying it slowly over and over to the people on the phone. And they still sent me a thing saying they couldn't do it, and the technician that watched it would not okay it, and they gave me the reasons. And I'm like, but it's a fake penis, you know. But yeah.
Oh God, that's.
So yeah, that was the most proud of for what it was, but that blew me away of how idiotic certain things are and how logic does not make sense to certain people.
Yeah, you think.
Yeah.
The mechanics of it alone.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what world do you live in where you think this might be real, you know?
Well, you on the plus side, you got to pat yourself on the back. It's something that they've never seen before, and they didn't know how to handle it.
No, and actually, it's pretty funny. That's like, among my female fans, that's probably one of their favorite movies, because in that, when I wrote that and created it, I was like, okay, this is like my Mad Magazine type crazy, bizarre 15-year-old boy idea. And people are going to look at me a certain way, but women just loved it, laughed, and it was just so bizarre. And I was like, wow, okay, and that really made me feel good of, like, opening eyes to other things that I was not aware of, so.
Alright, so that's... Fuck, I feel like I should have saved that question for last. That's like that's the topper. that is the money shot, if you will.
Exactly, yeah. And basically, we did a lot of the analogies. We put, like, a change is coming, and... we put, like, because that was, let me see, that was 2008. So, let's see. Yeah, about 2008, 2009, I created that. So we did kind of the Obama change type.
Of course.
True change comes from within, and change, all that stuff. So.
Yeah, well, you know, that's how you got to do it. It's funny I mentioned not being able to buy things by the box art, but that's kind of what you have to do these days.
Yeah. I'd also talk about, going back to one of your questions about how I got that idea. At the time, I was working at a video store for about 9 years, and I was the manager of the store and everything, and we sold old movies and new movies and such, VHS, DVDs, and all that. And one of the guys I worked with used to collect pennies, and he was an odd-looking guy, actually looked like Gollum, and that's what we used to call him. He was just a younger, weird-looking dude. Mm-hmm. And he played with pennies, and he would look at them real close and put them on the counter and sort them. And a few of us were just digging on this guy, going, this guy's really weird. And he was just all into pennies, and he'd go through and take pennies out of the drawer and look at them, and, you know. So then I decided it would be funny if one time, you know, pennies came out of his dick, and then I started writing a story. And there's,
yeah, it's like a series of escalated dares almost.
Yeah. What if? Yeah.
That's kind of how I wrote anything I've ever written. Like my degree in screenwriting is like, all right, the very first thing I turned in was a snuff film romantic comedy.
Nice.
So you got that's basically the way I look at it is you got to entertain yourself and just hope enough people have the same sense of humor as you to go along with it, or you'll never have fun with it.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying before. Like, I would always try to create movies that I would want to see.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking, okay, now if I saw this movie on a shelf, would I want to buy it? What would attract me to it? What are the points of it? What would sell me on it? What would draw me in? And I try to always keep that in mind when I'm creating as well.
All right, so
product.
Oh, yeah, totally, yeah. So your casting process, like, how do you go about it? I mean, because I know you're not throwing out Keanu money. We'll go with. So, like, how do you like just gather your cast and crew? What is your process for that?
Well, starting off, I ended up using I kind of like the John Waters method. I would write for interesting, like that guy Evan, his name, and for Chump Change. I would write things, even though he didn't play that part. I knew people that were odd or that knew him that could play him or that type of thing, So I would write for certain people I knew specifically for them and exaggerated versions of them or people I think that they could play. Or that's how it first started off, and I would cast my friends that were other actors or musicians or just non-actors that were just odd or talented people. And I would cast local musicians and parts and have them play music and try to do other things together. And then I started going through Facebook, MySpace back in the day, Craigslist, local casting agencies, other friends of friends that were actors and such. And also just once I do films now with my 11th film and then other stuff I've worked on as well, short films and commercials and videos and stuff, you kind of get people you like or that you think are talented or that fit a certain thing. So then when you get ready to cast again, you go, oh, this person would be good for this, or that person would be good for that, or you want to work for that person again, so you write something for them in mind, But like what was really cool is that you get to a certain point, like when I did Mondo Sacramento part 2, I had a Lynn Lowry in that, so that was like really huge.
Yeah.
And she played a Dorothea Puente, the serial killer here in Sacramento, California, from the 80s.
Nice.
Did a really good job as Dorothea Puente.
Oh, nice, yeah. I mean, that's kind of it. I just like hearing like everyone's different stories of networking because it's, let's be honest, it's 90% nepotism and 10% luck.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've hired complete strangers and people that I have no connections to that I just thought would fit. And then other times I would hire somebody who was just comfortable and I really didn't go outside of my comfort zone on certain things. And sometimes it's worked out, sometimes it hasn't worked out on both ends, But I think usually when you cast somebody right away, you usually know, because I always find the people that I like somebody that's really into the role and will ask me questions about something, but the person that has the most questions or the most cold feet about doing something or puts up the most hassle about something usually doesn't work out.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine. No. God. Oh, fuck. Let's see. I kind of like bounce around with the questions. These are why these are done in print. All right. So okay, let's talk about the elephant room. Like, money's always interesting. Like, how do you go? Yeah. Give me your ways of like kind of fundraising, getting budgets together.
Well, to me, budget is, well, I figure out how much. Well, okay, budget. Most things I do myself, so the budget's me.
No.
I really don't have a budget. The budget I do raise, or like I'll say each film it matters. I mean, if I'm doing a short film that's maybe like 20, 25 minutes long, usually there's no budget. Or I'll have budget for the costumes, or I'll have just stuff that I already have myself. Like I have a huge wardrobe. People already know wardrobe. I'll shoot locations I already know of. I have all my own equipment. So really a budget's just for like food and certain things like that. If I'm doing a feature, of course, like with Lynn Lowry, paid, and other lead actresses, and most of my films I'll end up paying. And that, my budget comes from, I have a hard time asking people for money for something, and that's one thing I go through myself, is that I have to learn that. But I always feel like, well, somebody's going to pay to see your money, or pay to see your movie, so that should be the money that you get from them. Why I'm do it twice,
Yeah.
Is my opinion on it. So basically, I just work a really bad job. I live really, really cheap, and I basically just take all my money and put it into paying my actors, buying equipment for editing and doing things like that, spending money on costumes, and like I just shipped and got some costumes for the next film and this and that and stuff, you know. But I just live I basically live like a monk, you know, solitary life, really very little expense, and just put my money into my art and just do that.
Hey,
I haven't went out to a nice dinner in 6 months or a year. I haven't went out to any concerts. I don't go to really movies. I'll see something on the internet or something through somebody's doing it. But, you know, when you're creating all the time, you really don't see as much stuff, you know.
yeah, if you're,
So I just kind of like stay in that zone.
yeah, you're too busy to notice what you're missing, pretty much.
Yeah. And, you know, and maybe it's kept me in a bubble of not getting bigger projects, but I've been putting out project after project, so I'm staying in the zone of getting it done. But I haven't acquired those skills of getting to the next level of a budget of like, you know, 10 or 20,000. I mean, most of my films are, you know, a feature is anywhere from on the small side, 2,000, and then on like Mondo is maybe $7,000 or $8,000, you know, for that, you know. So if, you know, but then also too, I'm working hundreds of hours that are free. I'm doing all the editing, all the filming, all the everything, you know. So I all that. If I was to put a budget and pay myself, of course, it would be something. But you know.
Oh yeah, and plus it's one of those like fundraising in general is really weird for me because when I first started doing this site, it actually was like a podcast, and I raised money for a microphone. That's it. Like yeah, you will get hours and hours of content. I just can't afford a microphone right now. But now it's like constantly asking for it. It drove me nuts because I did a podcast for a little bit. And we had a Patreon, which do you know what Patreon is?
No.
Basically, it's kind of like it's like a Kickstarter that never ends. So like every month that you collect money because you're kind of like subscribing to it. And I actually had to stop because I just felt bad taking money for something I was going to do anyway.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm just like, well, I'm going to do it and stuff, and I hope that I have fans and people want to pay. They see my stuff and generally like it, and I have to go hat in hand all the time. Here, give me $5, give me $5, give me $5.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, it's a pride thing, and you know, if you can do it, why wouldn't you just do it yourself? I mean.
Yeah, no, there's. I mean, I won't say this and that, but there's a lot of times people will ask money for certain things that they'll ask money for. I'm like, well, why are you asking for that? You could do that yourself, like editing or post production or certain things. You know, I just think that I don't know. I mean, suffering is your own choice, of course, with anything, you know, of anything. But it's just kind of like, just suck it up and do it, you know. Don't have people write it. Just do it yourself and stuff. Because you can wait and wait and wait. You could have got it done in the meantime, instead of waiting for cash or waiting for the help, you know.
Yeah, it's better to run out of money in the middle of doing something than not even start doing it. Like that's
exactly.
Like,
and you have to figure out too, you know, through budget is imagination, you know, and the less budget you have, I think the more imagination you can get away with, and you think more on the fly, and you seem to be in a certain mindset or zone where things come to you quicker than if you can just throw money at things, you know. And I've come to find that certain effects and certain things I've come up with have been out of searching instead of just looking or asking somebody to do it, you know.
Yeah, it's you got to be creative because everything you have is right up on the screen. That's why I love low budget filmmaking. Just like I don't make films, but I love watching them because it's like it kind of like I remember like watching like when I was a kid, you'd watch like King Kong or something like that, and you didn't quite know how they did it. And now I'm old enough and I'm jaded enough. I know exactly how they did it. It's CG. It's this or that. So when you see a low budget film solve a problem, it's just golden because like how did they do that? It's kind of brings back a little bit of like old timey not stop motion, but just like that old timey feeling that is like, hey, it's pretty cool. They figured that problem out.
Yeah, and then you go like for instance, I very rarely watch big budget films, but I finally got around to watching Guardians of the Galaxy last week, and I liked it because I like the director and everything as well and stuff. But I was just looking at the end credits of how many people worked that movie, and I was just blown away. Just like once you learn how to do something, you're like, oh my god! And it was literally like, I don't know, probably like 1,000 people made that movie of just all the different positions throughout the world and stuff, you know. There's
like 20 people who probably just did Groot. Like, that was their whole job.
Yeah, probably 40 or 50. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the actual physical part of it,
probably.
Yeah. Matte layers and 3D effects, and oh my god, it's like, I was like, holy shit. I mean, that's like a city made that movie.
And I'm thinking, you're James Gunn, you're the Troma guy.
Yeah. And that's why I definitely wanted to see it quicker than the other stuff because I do like Slither and I liked some of those other films for Troma and such, you know.
Yeah, I actually have Tromeo and Juliet on Blu-ray. Not for any good reason. It just seems like really dumb to have a Troma Blu-ray, so I had to have at least one. Because it's not like they upscale it.
Yeah, I don't think I have any actually Troma Blu-rays. Yeah. Oh shit, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I got a bunch of DVDs, but not the Blu-rays.
Yeah, no, I used to work at Relapse Records, and I think they had a deal with Troma or something, so I had, like, access to their entire catalog. So my shelves are full of Troma DVDs. Yeah, so yeah, it's just and the other thing about Guardians, it's very much so a blockbuster in name only because it's like if you could have made that movie with $20 and the script would have still sold it.
Yeah, and of course seeing it as a product, I go, okay, well, there's the Star Tour shot when they're flying out of the thing, and there's the up and down through the stuff shots, and then dancing with the things and the dance off certain parts. I was like, ugh, you know, but you know, it's you have to do those certain scenes for mass appeal. You know?
Oh yeah, well, it's the Marvel method. Like I actually burnt out on them recently because they've announced their movies up to 2020, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
How am I supposed to get excited for a release date now? That's what you want me to do?
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's like because growing up, I was always looking forward to directors. I'm still that way with a few people like Paul Thomas Anderson and David Lynch. Puts out the new Twin Peaks, I'll be looking forward to. I think that's not really in the theaters, but there's certain directors where I'm like, day one, I'll totally see their stuff, you know. But I don't know, it seems like as you get older and create, and as things change, there's less and less of those names out there that you go to see like right away, you know.
Yeah, I'm on the flip side where I'm just always looking for something new that I haven't seen. This site that's I love. Like when Christy posted that thing and it blew up, I was so excited because it's just more stuff for me to check out.
Yeah, no, and that's how I am with like older stuff, and I have to have more of an eye to the future. But I've always been going into the past because I love just 60s, 70s, 80s, especially. I'm always just going down more and more tunnels of subgenres of 42nd Street and all the Peep Show stuff and all the Grindhouse stuff, then down into the different regional filmmakers of the 70s and 60s and do all that stuff. There's so many.
I get on subgenre kicks too. I love them. It's just like my older stuff is like I have whenever Criterion goes on sale, that's where my paycheck's going that month.
Right.
Because you just have to, because they just look nice on your shelf.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like class, you know.
It's like here's my pornos and here's my 20-some Criterion movies. You can't judge me.
Here's my Vinegar Syndrome. Here's my Criterion. You know?
Because they had the big Zatoichi box set, and that literally was my paycheck for the month. It's
wow, how much you pay for that?
I got it when they do the half off sale at Barnes and Noble. So it was like $200, I think, after tax. Which
I've seen that. I was like, wow, you know.
I was like, okay, this is gonna go out of print and be like $800, like all that other stuff.
That's very true. Yeah, no, I have some of those early Criterion DVDs that were worth something back in the day, like a RoboCop X-rated cut, and this and that. And
I have the holy trinity of RoboCop, Armageddon, and The Rock. The three movies that you really didn't think would get a Criterion, and I have like one or two of their laser discs. And I found Hard Boiled at a used DVD store for like $10. I'm like, you know how much you're going to charge for this, right?
Yeah, I actually ended up selling mine through eBay about like 2 years ago. I was like needing some money to finance a film.
Hey!
Yeah, and I ended up selling some DVDs and stuff. And I was like, wow, okay, I bought this for about $5, and it's worth like $200 or $300 at the time. I forgot what it was, you know. I ended up selling for $100-something, I think it was, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, boom, you know.
Yeah,
that's enough, but I was happy with it. So I was like, well, it was out over and over again after that, but they just wanted that edition of it. So.
Yeah. That's the beautiful thing. They're an investment. It's not a stupid habit.
I'm gonna sell the stock right here, you know.
Yeah, no one wants my laser discs though, because they're in just horrible condition at this point.
But there's some Criterion audio commentaries on the laser discs that weren't put out, so there's some cool stuff.
Well, that and you have to get I'm fighting going down that road because I know that I'm gonna have to track down Pulp Fiction and Ghostbusters and all the James Bond movies they released.
Well, there's 2 or 3 James Bond the MP3 files that are out online, and there's the David Cronenberg Crash commentary that's out on MP3 for people to download.
Yeah, I probably should do that, but I just know me. It's like once I get That's why, again, like going all the way back to I think where this conversation started is like,
Financing.
yeah. Once I find like new things, I just keep like attacking it. Like I think the quickest turnaround was there was a movie on Netflix, '88. It's Catherine Isabel, Christopher Lloyd, and Michael Ironside. And after I watched it, I just emailed the director and like I already interviewed her.
Wow.
Like that's the kind of stuff I like about this is you just can keep finding stuff. Like the days of looking at DVD cases are gone to just pick something out by the box art because there's too many possibilities.
Oh yeah, and like as a creator and a filmmaker and such, like I was talking to people about that recently. It's funny. It's like it seems like things have a shorter shelf life, even if they're amazing works of art. Like compared to like the old days where some would last longer. You know, like Godfather or something has staying power.
Mm.
But even things that are amazing now, it's like everybody's universe for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they kind of goes on DVD, then it pops up a new month or two later, and it's big for a couple weeks, and 3 or 4 years later, everybody forgets about it. You know, or it's not as huge. It doesn't resonate.
It doesn't have the pop cultural staying power anymore.
Yeah, because all the shows on the internet, TV, and cable, and movies, and everything else bombarded and just so much more product. I think just is
Yes,
so
everywhere.
much.
Yeah, like the biggest example of that is probably Avatar. That was huge, and now no one cares.
Oh yeah, or even things that people are like, oh my god, it's the most amazing thing, and everybody thinks this and that, and then it's like, oh yeah, I remember that a couple years ago, and there's one catchphrase, and then it's forgotten.
Yeah. But on the flip side, it also gives everything a weird shelf life in like the back end because you can find anything now. Like,
Yeah. That's true. Things are much more out there, and even if it's out of print, you can find it online or somebody's.
yeah, you could always find stuff.
Something.
Oh no, that's fine.
But then on the old days too, I'm 41, so like when I was collecting VHS stuff, we'd have to make the trek like 2 or 3 hours down in the Bay Area or somewhere to find cool little video shops that have bootleg VHS tape copies of like the Holy Mountain or El Topo or stuff like that, where it was harder to get stuff. I'd have to drive to LA and find these cool shops that sold stuff, Where nowadays you can go on the internet and find anything or something. So it kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, you had it a little harder. I'm 30, so I got right on the end of VHS to DVD. I'm slowly accepting internet, but I still miss physical media being king.
Oh yeah. It's weird. Things have definitely changed a lot in the last 15 years, like crazily,
Oh yeah. The only plus side is now you can buy movies digitally 2 weeks before they're released, and then it's like I probably would have never watched that DVD again. I got it cheaper, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, no, definitely, and you get your stuff out there more like that. Like I didn't see Tusk or any of those, the newer Kevin Smith ones, but they're kind of riding that advantage of that, getting out there on the wave and doing those things out there,
Yeah, and it's a shame there aren't enough independent theaters that are actually showing it. That's the other thing. You kind of got to be direct to video because there is no middle ground. You're either at the AMC 15 multiplex or you're nothing.
And even the direct to video and the little streams that are offering independents, they're even competing with big budgets that are trying to act like they're independent, and they sneak it out. They're competing with those people as well, so it's even harder,
Oh yeah. That's why you got to keep. I appreciate anyone fighting the fight because the more you talk about it, it's like I'm kind of sad now.
I know. You kind of go through that shit and you see it, and you just gotta I don't know, man. It's like no other choice,
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, it's if as long as it's still making you happy, is really at the end.
Yeah, well, what is happiness? Right? Everything makes you happy or unhappy. I think you just gotta stay with it. You can say about any relationship or any taste of things. There's days where you think about changing or doing something different or whatever. But if it's in your blood and you're serious about it, the cream always rises to the top. People that just can't hang with it just drop out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
All right, yeah. So let's just do some rapid fire questions real quick. Just kind of all right. So, talking about video stores, I am obsessed with Canon films, obsessed.
Okay.
So I need to know what to you makes the perfect action scene.
I would say, you mean nowadays or just in general?
Just in general.
In general, I would say perfect action scene would have to have definitely great colors. Great explosions, of course. You'd have to have something that is out of your price range getting blown up, like a certain expensive car or a motorcycle or something that you could never have, is destroyed in front of you. And I think any good ethnic stereotype usually is good for traditional.
Let's be honest, yeah.
Yeah. Whether you're Puerto Rican, Iranian, Chinese, Japanese, white, whatever,
Yeah. You need a slight tinge of racism with your action movie.
Yeah, you need somebody ultra one way and somebody ultra the other way,
That's actually a good answer. I'm just glad someone didn't say The Raid again. There was like a string where everyone The Raid is an amazing movie.
But it's just either of them. Like I said, I know what they are and stuff, but I just haven't had the time to see them. Yeah.
But yeah, you should. It's literally just one long fight scene. The movie.
Yeah. Ong Bak's really good for that.
Oh yeah, Ong Bak. Thank God Tony Jaa's back. He did that whole. I like the reason he became a monk is because he wouldn't get out of his film contract. Then immediately when he was done his tour of duty as a monk, he just went right back to movies.
Nice, I know. He was amazing when I saw him. He just opened my eyes. That's like another film where you first see it and you're just like, holy shit! It just changes your thoughts on film,
Oh yeah. Okay, so speaking of, if there's one movie, any movie that you could say was actually one you made. Like say you could have said you made any movie. Like, say, this is Ghostbusters. I made it. Which movie would it be?
Oh, God, let me think. Metropolis.
Ah, interesting.
I have to go back to that. It's so instrumental in a lot of the ways I think and my tastes and such, I mean, there's probably about 15 or 20 movies that I could name, but that just right now, as I'm going through, that would be the first one I would try. Because I think so many people copied that film, and had such fingerprints and other things, and it's such a monumental thing,
So would you use the original soundtrack or the 80s synth pop one?
See, I love both, man. And I love that 80s cut because there's title cards and certain sequences, like the House of the Old Repute or whatever. There's certain things they show in there that they don't show in the other versions.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of cheesy in certain things, I do like that 80s soundtrack a lot.
Oh, no, I do too. I just, someone...
Yeah, you say the names, Billy Squire and,
yeah, when you say them out loud, it doesn't have the holding power. Hey. Little Goody Two Shoes is a classic song, let's be honest.
Tyler, yeah.
Now, the other reason that was sticking in my head is literally someone made me talk about, usually... The last question is I make you ask me something, and someone asked me to compare the original version of Cyborg with the work print with the really shitty glam rock soundtrack.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's not something you need to see. It's
I never seen that.
It's that's just stuck in the back of my head. So yeah, okay, you could choose one of the two things. You could have either an unlimited budget, which we've been over that, or you could have any actor dead and alive in your film. Which you choose?
Well, if I was to have any actor, would I have a decent budget or would I have no budget?
You'd have pretty much the budget you have, but they're guaranteed to be game with whatever you say.
Okay, I would definitely take the actor.
Yeah.
Because the actor, you can sell the movie on more than your budget.
Yeah, that's usually the answer. But there's always...
Everybody would see a Paul Newman movie, but they wouldn't want to see a $100 million movie.
This is true. There's always...
And something like that lasts way longer. I mean, think of all the really expensive movies that are just shit. That just...
This is true. Oh yeah, no. I always just wonder, there's always, I always would go with the actor, but in the back of my head, it's if I had infinite money, what could I pull off?
Yeah, no, I think of those things too. But, I think any world you build is just what you show, and the more money you have, the more of it you can show, but you can still create a world with no money.
Exactly, yeah. It's basically an ego thing if you go with the money. It's you're just assuming, oh, I'm so great, I need all this money to prove I'm great. Whereas the actor, you have a fail-safe.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many, I don't know if you've asked with the actor, but I mean, there's I worshiped Sam Peckinpah growing up, so I would say a Warren Oates, if I had Warren Oates, or something amazing, just oh my god, because then he'd just be, well, it's just even working with Lynn Lowry, I mean, that was huge to me, because I grew up a big Lynn Lowry fan, I saw, I Eat Your Skin, Cat People, Score, The Crazies, and I saw the movie she was in and stuff, and then to work with her, and of course, all the Cronenberg stuff, the one film of his, shivers, and just being around her and directing her, it was just so like intimidating because like shit, this woman's a big Hollywood actress.
She knows better than me.
And acting Peter Fonda, and you start analyzing everything she's done, the people she's acted with, and the scope of it. You're like, holy shit, Rowdy Mesker directed her, David Cronenberg directed her, George Romero directed her, Paul Schrader.
Yeah,
working with saying this, and that, and then going through that. But then you go through that and you become a better person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's it doesn't matter how big you get. You're always gonna get a little starstruck, but it's how you work through it that makes it work. Because there are some names coming up that I'm freaking out about that I think only I would care about.
Right.
But you just gotta like, all right, I gotta put this aside. All right, awesome. All right, and you know what? All right, so we'll just jump to the end. So anything you want to ask me?
Okay. What film universe would you most want to live in, and what film universe would you be the most scared in?
Oh, easily the most scared to Death Wish universe, because Jesus Christ, you were going to get raped or murdered within stepping outside of your house.
But maybe not Death Wish 3 unless you're with the old people or something.
Well, no, Death Wish 3, I mean, apparently New York's a war zone there, so I don't know. I don't know that it's safe there, which is also my favorite of the trilogy. Well, quintology, whatever. Universe I'd want to live in, probably the universe of her. Like, just because everything is slightly more technological. Everything is like really clean and easy and simple, and you can play video games without having to use a controller. And I'm really lazy. And like the characters shit talk you. I mean, I like seeing versions of the future just slightly ahead of time, where things are just, it's kind of cool. Maybe it'll happen.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, cool.
Instead of this dystopia we're headed towards.
Yeah, actually, that's kind of what I'm writing about, so it's kind of cool that it all came together.
All right. Well, that was a cool interview.
Thank you.
All right. I will get that all translated and typed up, and I'll shoot you a message when I have it all done. Thanks a lot for doing this.